On this episode of Formula World, Horner blasts Renault. Did Alonso have an engine issue? Ocon versus Perez, and much more. As always, you can find timestamps for all of today's stories in the description or as a pinned comment. First up on Formula World, Verstappen not happy at all. Unfortunately for himself and the many Dutch fans who came out to see him race, Max Verstappen continued to be plagued by reliability issues. With half his races now ending before the checkered flag, it's evident that Max is getting fed up. It's now 50% of the races ended in retirement. It's unbelievable. Like I said on the radio, I just can't believe that those things happen. Of course, in the beginning you say maybe it's just bad luck or whatever. I'm actually competing against Fernando in terms of retirements. It's unbelievable. I'm not happy at all. I'm very disappointed for retiring and for the fans who buy an expensive ticket to watch and I retire after 8 laps. No words. Horner blasts Renault. Following another engine-related issue for Max Verstappen, Red Bull team boss Christian Horner has come out with a very stern message for their engine supplier. Horner did not mince his words when discussing his expectations of Renault. Renault are quite aware that their reliability and product isn't where it should be. It's their business to sort that out. We're a paying customer and it's obviously below par the service we are seeing at this point in time because of the reliability issues, the failures. We pay a hell of a lot of money for the engine. They need to sort it out. It's hurting them as much as it is hurting ourselves. At this level, you can't afford the kind of failures that we're consistently seeing. Reliability across the 3 teams is pretty dire. It's not great, it's far from great, and it's not the level an engine supplier wishes to be competitive in F1 should be at. They are working hard at it and hopefully putting in place processes to avoid the kind of issues that we are seeing. We were surprised by Ferrari. Mercedes team boss Toto Wolff says he was surprised by the pace of Ferrari, who managed to not only stay within range during the race but also in qualifying. On a track where Mercedes were expected to dominate, Wolff says that his team must now improve performance to keep up with Ferrari on higher downforce circuits. We were surprised. They have done a good job in bringing an upgrade package that works. This is a track that shouldn't suit them, like Silverstone, and they were much closer than expected. We just have to keep our development scope steep and continue to bring bits on the car and deliver faultlessly. We've not been good on high downforce circuits. Like Ferrari has caught up at circuits like Spa, we need to catch up at circuits like Singapore. It won't be a walk in the park. Did Alonso have an engine issue? Fernando Alonso sent some pretty clear messages over the team radio during the race in Spa, saying that their performance is really embarrassing and I really don't care too much, this is just a test. As he kept falling further back through the field, Alonso asked his team if there was any chance of rain. When the team replied that there wasn't, he radioed in shortly after saying he was having an engine problem and promptly pulled in the pits to retire. Here's what Alonso had to say. For sure, it's not easy to race like this, as you cannot have any good wheel-to-wheel battles. It was a difficult afternoon and we were not competitive in race trim. The car was too slow on the straights and it was impossible to have any battles out there, so points were also impossible today. Eventually, we had to stop due to an engine issue. However, Honda engine chief Yusuke Hasegawa noted that after looking at the data, there was no indication of an engine issue. He radioed in with what he thought was a problem with the car, and although there was nothing showing in the data, we decided to stop the car as a precaution. Some are speculating that Alonso parked the car as a statement to McLaren and indeed Honda that there needs to be a change if he is to stay on with them next year. Alonso himself hinted at a need for a different power unit. There needs to be one change only. I think there are many answers out there and we need to find them. They will not come looking at the sky. We need to sit down and work on it and hopefully we find the best solution for next year. McLaren is one of the best teams in the world and I would be happy to keep working with them, but we need to see how things evolve in the next couple of weeks. Ocon versus Perez. The Force India civil war heats up as Esteban Ocon and Sergio Perez came together twice in Spa, both times in the straight leading up to Eau Rouge. The first collision had Ocon sandwiched between Perez and the wall and both drivers were fortunate enough to emerge without any significant damage. The second collision, however, had a different outcome. After the race restarted from behind the safety car, Ocon quickly came up behind his teammate and went to approach down the inside. But with Perez holding his line in the tight lead up to Eau Rouge, Ocon was squeezed too tight and the pair came into contact. This caused a right rear puncture for Perez and some front wing damage to Ocon. Here's what Ocon had to say about it. "Risking our lives for nothing. He risked my life in there at 300 km per hour down to Eau Rouge. That's the first thing. The second thing is we lost a lot of points. He's supposed to be a professional driver. Today he did not show that. He has not done that with any other teammates. I don't know why he's doing it with me. I'm going to go and speak to him man to man and tell him the truth. He's going to have a child. I don't know if he wants to die or something. It's just ridiculous. Of course he knew I was there. I accept the first one. We were 3 wide. Maybe he didn't see me, even if I think he saw me." Perez himself was quick to admit fault for the first incident, but shifted the blame to an over-eager Ocon for the second clash. "I knew he was there, but I also knew there was no more space to go, so I just protected my line. I thought he was obviously going to make the maneuver after Eau Rouge. I didn't do anything different that I wouldn't have done to any other drivers. No other driver would have done differently. He probably feels I did it on purpose. Probably that's why on the second one he came into contact. The first one was totally my fault. I didn't see him. I apologize for that one. The second one, he was too optimistic and there was no need to touch there." Force India Chief Operating Officer Otmar Zafnauer has decided it's time to lay down the law and insists if they can't play fair they will not be allowed to race freely anymore, and has not ruled out imposing race bans for their drivers. In the future they'll never have that opportunity again. We let them race up to now. If they can't do it in a manner which is good for the team, then they won't be racing anymore. They shouldn't be coming together. We've given them the latitude to race. Once it gets to the point of safety margins and crashing into each other, we've got to take it into our hands. If it happens again, we have to figure it out. We would have to start thinking about who we would stick in the car." Raikkonen, penalty was pointless. Kimi Raikkonen was given a 10-second stop-go penalty for failing to slow down under double-waved yellows due to Verstappen's car being on the side of the track. This caused Kimi to drop from P4 down to P7 after the penalty, but managed to quickly work his way back up the field, eventually finishing the race in P4. However, Kimi believes the penalty was pointless. "I knew there was a yellow flag, but the car was kind of at least halfway behind the barrier on the straight. I didn't go faster. I didn't lift on the straight, but in my view it was pointless to get penalised for that. I completely understand when a car is on the side of the circuit, like on the proper side, and there are people working on it, but this is what happened. I would be very surprised if everybody else lifted. Luckily there was a safety car and we could recover something out of it, but it was not the easiest end of the weekend, but that's how it went." Who was at fault? Ocon or Perez? Let me know what you think in the comments. And if you liked this video, feel free to subscribe and check out my other videos for all the latest in the world of Formula 1.